In this election season, there's a lot of heat and dust flying on the electoral battlefield. But what are the critical issues that will determine how voters feel and which will guide their impulse on voting day? To talk about this, I want to take you through some of the responses gleaned by CSDS in its pre-poll opinion poll. Now remember, CSDS is a leading academic body that does a very serious and scientific study going across the country, trying to determine the mood of the Indian voter. So Sanjay Kumar is the co-director at Lokniti CSDS, one of India's leading cephologists. He's joining me on this broadcast. Rahul Verma is with us, Center for Policy Research, representing the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. Its pugnacious spokesperson, Sanju Verma. Squaring off against her is Salman Soz from the Congress. So welcome to all our guests. I want to take the first question we're looking at, and this is to do with the Ram Mandir. Now, the impact of the Ram Mandir, what kind of bearing does it have on the Lok Sabha elections of 2024? This is the question that the CSDS survey team posed to respondents across the country. And here's the response that they picked up. Will consolidate Hindu identity was the answer of 48% of the respondents. Won't impact Hindus much was the response of 25% of the respondents, and no opinion was the response of 24% of the respondents. And if you look at it, when you look at the different communities amongst the Hindus, very clearly there is a higher sense that this construction of the Ram Mandir will consolidate Hindu identity, with 54% of the respondents feeling that it would impact Hindus much, won't impact Hindus much was the response of 25% of the Hindu respondents in this Lokniti survey, and 18% professed no opinion. Now what's very interesting, Sanjay Kumar, in your data is that while Ram Mandir is an issue, only 2% of the respondents thought of this as being the main issue. While it does consolidate Hindu identity in the opinion of almost half the voters, this clearly, from what your data seems to suggest, isn't the number one issue, and far from. Unemployment, price rise, those are far bigger issues than the construction of the Ram Mandir when it comes to determining who people will vote for on polling day. Sanjay.
Rahul, it has to be made clear that hello, Rahul, the question which was asked is which issue you think is going to be an important issue in this election? And 27% of the people mentioned unemployment, 23% people mentioned price rise. There is no indication that the voters will be voting only on these two issues. So the survey does not indicate that these are going to be the issues which is the concern of the voter in the minds of the voter.
Now that's really the catch-22, Rahul Verma, that while issues like unemployment and price rise are number one issues, that doesn't necessarily mean that they bring out unhappiness with the government. Far from. It could also be suggestive of the fact that voters feel that the current government could potentially be better suited at dealing with those issues. So those are important issues. But unlike a typical context where, say, unemployment or price rise would suggest anti-incumbency, in the zone where Indian politics is at the moment, those are the issues. But who's the best fix to answer these challenges? And the two may not necessarily be the same.
That's true, Rahul. You rightly pointed out. First, in most surveys, and this is not happening for the first time, but in last 20 to 25 years, if you look at survey data where the question is what is the most important issue while you vote, economic issues are going to be the topmost choices. What seems to be happening in this sort of like election cycle particularly, that while a large number of voters are expressing anxiety over economic issue, that's not translating into political electoral action, meaning that BJP does not seem to be, at least in these surveys, is not seem to be bearing any cost of economic anxiety. This could be happening because of two reasons. One, it is possible that they trust BJP and Prime Minister Modi to be able to solve the problems of economic anxiety. Two, it could also be happening that they don't think the opposition is trustworthy enough or they have a blueprint or a model to be able to tackle these
No,
problems.
but let Salman Soz respond to this, because this is then the important point. In a classical understanding of survey data, if unemployment and price rise and such factors are coming up as the critical issues, one would tend to typically imagine that that would mean after 10 years there's anti-incumbency. The state of the opposition is such and the state of the government is such that despite these being the main issues, the opposition is not seen as the vehicle that can fix it. Sanju Verma's party, the BJP, is seen as being better able to fix those issues, even though those are big issues. That seems to suggest, Salman Soz, from a reading of the data, a big failure of India's opposition.
Rahul, I haven't seen this other data which talks about who would be best placed to fix these issues, but let me just say that this particular survey indicates that in 2019, 1 out of 6, I've seen some other data, 1 out of 6 people or respondents felt that unemployment and price rise were the big issues. This time, triple the number, as in 3 out of 6, which is basically what you see here. About half the people say that these are the two big issues for this election. 13% development and corruption, 8%, Ram Mandir, 8%. Now, to the extent that the party that is responsible for this state of affairs, this party has been in power for 10 years. This is the party that promised 2 crore jobs a year. This is a party that has singularly failed to alleviate India's unemployment crisis. This is the party that has basically presided over inflation when crude oil prices, which are a big determinant of inflation, are much lower now than they were in the UPA times. This is the party that has created a supply side constraint in the economy. This is the party that has destroyed MSMEs in this country. If people feel that this is a party that will then, find a miraculous cure to the problems that they've created, that is something that I cannot argue with. But I'm telling you, Rahul, based on what we are seeing in the election, as the election is unfolding, I used to think that the BJP would, I used to say, BJP 200 ke is par, 400 ko chodo, 200 ke is par. But now, Rahul, I can tell you, based on everything that we are seeing around the country, BJP is unlikely to cross 150
Okay,
seats.
so we'll come. I'm not
unlikely
looking at
to
vote
cross
share or
150
seat share, we're
seats.
just focusing on the data. But there's an important point that you make, and I want Sanju Verma to respond to it. If the government, given the abysmal state of the opposition, leave the opposition aside, if the government were to be compared with expectations that the government set, the number of people who now think unemployment and price rise is their main concern is higher than what it was. So things like corruption are down, but unemployment and price rise, relative to how things were in past tracking polls of organizations like CSDS and the others, has actually gone up as a bigger concern, which would suggest, compared with the BJP's own performance and expectations, more people are now worried about price rise and unemployment than they were previously. Sanju Verma, respond to that.
Thank you, Rahul. First and foremost, let me lay out some data for your audience, which I think is one of the most important stakeholders in this debate. Point number 1, just a couple of hours back, the March 2024 retail inflation data is out, and retail inflation is at a 10-month low of 4.85%. Fuel inflation is negative to the tune of 2%, and core inflation is actually just 3.3%. Urban inflation is also at an all-time low of 4.14%. So first and foremost, inflation is trending downwards, and this has been the case for the last couple of months in a row. Point number 2, we had 2 black swan events. We had the COVID pandemic, and then we had the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And guess what, Rahul? In 2020 and 2021, even economies like USA, Germany, France, UK, what have you, these are economies which normally struggle to even have an inflation of 2.5%. And these countries were having inflation in the region of 10%, 11%, 12%. The last time Germany had a 10% inflation rate was way back in the 1970s. The last time US had an inflation rate in double digits was way back in 1977. So what is the limited point I'm making? The limited point I'm making is this. The highest inflation in the last 5 years of Modi 2.0 was in April 2022 at 7.79% when the world was actually seeing inflation at 11-12% or even more. Whereas the highest inflation under Manmohan Singh / Sonia Gandhi led kitchen cabinet in UPA 2 was in November 2013 at 14.82%.
Okay.
So first and foremost, let me be very clear that inflation is down, and if you have to compare apples with apples, this has been mentioned in the government's white paper. The average inflation in the last 10 years under the Modi government is 5.1%, and the average retail inflation...
Can I just pause you for a second to ask Sanjay? Okay, 20 seconds before you wrap up. 20 seconds, go on. I'll give you 20 seconds. Complete your point.
Thank you. Thank you. And the average retail inflation in the 10 years of the Manmohan Singh dispensation from 2004 to 2014 was 8.6%. Kaha 8.6%, kaha 5.1%. Even average LPG prices, 754 under the Modi government, 986 under the UPA dispensation. So on inflation, the Modi government has done a phenomenal job despite geopolitical headwinds.
Okay, Sanjay Kumar, how do you explain this dissonance in the data? Sanju Verma quoting current inflation data to say that inflation is actually tending downwards. When you pose this question to respondents in your nationwide survey, a vast majority of the respondents are saying that inflation has gone up, that prices are going up, and that is bothering them. How do you explain these two things? Government data saying inflation is coming down, and your data, when the question is asked, prices have gone up, increase say 71%, stayed the same say 13, decrease say 13. You know, if you were hearing what Sanju was saying, then 71% shouldn't be saying that in their own experience, prices have increased.
Rahul, we should make it clear that this is a perception survey.
Sure.
And people are not looking at the inflation data, what people experience in the day-to-day life, you and me, and several people of our kind. When they go out to buy their vegetable, food grains, fish, vegetable, etc., they feel the pinch of price rise. If that is what they are feeling, this is getting expressed in the survey which we have conducted. This is the nationwide survey conducted in 19 states, 10,000 national representative sample. So if people are feeling the pinch, this is getting expressed in the data which we have collected. As I said, the voters are not looking at the inflation rate. Voters are not looking at the unemployment ratio. What they experience, they express when you go out to do a survey.
No, but classically, if there are markers like high unemployment, high inflation, they would typically be taken to be a reflection of anti-incumbency. How do you explain the fact that despite these being pressing concerns, and we're seeing with exam leaks, we're seeing with the queues outside job centers, IIT, IIMs also struggling for placement, that unemployment is clearly, jobs are a big issue. But yet, people seem to think that Modi government can fix these problems much more than the opposition can, which is why despite these IIT, IIM data numbers, they still seem to have faith in the BJP and in Prime Minister Modi. Sanjay Kumar.
But the people are not assessing the government only on these two accounts. There are several work which government does. Ram Mandir is turning out to be a big achievement from people's point of view. So when it comes to unemployment and price rise, yes, people express their anxiety. But when it comes to India's image in the world, a lot of people believe that India has emerged stronger in the world. India's image in the world has gone up. About Ram Mandir, about the question of identity, Hindu identity. So these are the big achievements which people give credit to the government. Also, we should not forget that when it comes to, the basic deliverables, road, bijli, sadak, pani, etc. So people gives a thumbs up to the BJP government. They feel that this government has done much better compared to the previous government. So there are various accounts on which people appreciate the work of the government, but they still express their anxieties about rising prices and unemployment.
Okay, so I want to come now to the next question in this survey, and this is to do with who is nepotistic, BJP versus the Congress. And let me just define, of course everybody knows what nepotism is, but just for the purpose of this question so that you understand its import fully, using your power or influence to give unfair advantage to your family, especially in giving them some kind of favors or jobs. That's the definition of nepotism. Who is more nepotistic? Now this is an interesting response. 25% saying BJP less nepotistic than the Congress, 24% of this 10,000 plus national sample in CSDS saying as nepotistic as the Congress, not nepotistic at all, say 15%, 36% didn't give an opinion. Sanju Verma, now you can't like the data that you say and say this data is not correct, and you know that Sanjay Kumar is a serious academic. 24% of the respondents in his survey say that both parties are equally nepotistic. Congress more nepotistic was only 1% more. It's 25 versus 24. How do you look at this, Sanju?
Thank you, Rahul. I'm not going to applaud the data that suits the BJP and negate data which may be contrary to what we perceive the ground reality to be. Having said that, let's be very clear, and I'll tell you why BJP is not a nepotistic party. BJP condemns nepotism. We all know for a fact that Sonia Gandhi for the longest time was the Congress president from 1998 to 2017 for 19 long years. Then for a brief while it was Rahul Gandhi and then Sonia Gandhi took over again, and it was only recently in 2022 that Mallikarjun Kharge became the Congress president. So कहने का तात्पर्य ये है, everybody knows after Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Vadra, if not Priyanka Vadra, then Robert Vadra. Mallikarjun Kharge does not call the shots. That is something which everybody knows, and if you want to deny it, you are living in La La Land. Now look at the BJP. From Nitin Gadkari to Murli Manohar Joshi, to Rajnath Singh, to Amit Shah, to JP Nadda, we've had a plethora of presidents. And I challenge Rahul good-humoredly. This is not trying to be, smarter in hindsight. I throw a gauntlet at anyone in the opposition. हिम्मत है तो जवाब दीजिए. JP Nadda's term as the BJP's national president expires in June 2024. I can say with absolute confidence, किसी को नहीं पता जून 2024 में who is going to succeed JP Nadda. But I can tell you for sure that while Mallikarjun Kharge may be the puppet Congress president for 5 years or 10 years, what have you, Congress will continue to be a private limited company which will be run by Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and Robert Vadra. That is nepotism. And I'll tell you one thing very quickly, I will end this here. A politician's son or daughter has every right to become a politician if he or she has the capability. But if he or she does not have the capability, then to join politics thinking it is your right to do so, that is nepotism.
Okay.
If Bansuri Swaraj has been given a ticket because she is capable, that is not nepotism. But if Robert Vadra is asked to contest from Amethi without having any proven credentials, then that is certainly nepotism.
But what are Bansuri's credentials either, ma'am? You haven't seen her credentials yet. She hasn't fought for office. I mean, so that is arguable. You're arguing in the way that you are, but this can be argued both ways. You've made the point that you have. Okay, so let's move on. Opinion on BJP accepting tainted netas from rival parties. What's the response on this question? So, should people who've got tainted ED, CBI cases from other parties be taken in the BJP? And we look at this by breaking it down into BJP voters, BJP allies overall, okay? So, amongst BJP voters, 51% are saying should not take. Nothing wrong is 21%, no response is 28%. But half the people who identified as BJP voters in the CSDS survey said BJP netas should not take tainted netas from rival parties. Now, Rahul Verma, the inherent calculation that the BJP top brass is making seems to be, yes, we realize our voters aren't very happy, but these 51% BJP voters who are telling us that we shouldn't take netas from rival parties if they are tainted are not going to change their mind. It is an irritation, but not irritation to the magnitude that it gets somebody to change their voting behavior. That seems to be the very cold-cut calculation.
That's true, but like at some point, this calculation can go wrong, right? There is going to be a point when not just the voter, but within the BJP itself, their workers and their leaders will start feeling the pinch of new leaders coming from other parties and diluting their own ideological plank, and maybe also affecting their governance style and organizational functions. As long as these leaders who are coming to the BJP on BJP's terms serving its purpose to win more seats and votes, BJP voters would be happy that this is a small price to pay. But this is the same thing which happened with the Congress party in 1970s and 80s. It took a lot of leaders from all other parties, and we saw what happened post 1990s to the Congress party, right? And so history can get repeated even with BJP at some point of time. Hopefully, they learn some of those lessons from history.
Okay, let's come to the next question. This question is to do with, what kind of opinion people have on opposition leaders joining the BJP. So why are they joining the BJP? Now, 46% of the respondents are saying that they are doing this to protect themselves from the ED and the CBI. 27% saying they are doing this because they like the BJP. 27% have given no response. So 46% are just coming out and saying that they are basically doing this to protect themselves from the ED and the CBI. Sanju Verma, in some of these questions, I know the government is hugely popular and, it's winning election after election, but in some of this, voters seem to have a mind of their own. They're telling you basically that we know that most of these leaders are coming because they're essentially just protecting themselves from the ED and the CBI. And even your own voters, 51% of them are basically telling your high command that you shouldn't be taking netas from rival parties if they are tainted.
Rahul, now I will say something, please don't get offended, because this is not aimed at any particular anchor or nor is it, aimed at any particular media house. But I remember you were trending post this fabulous interview which you had at your conclave with Amit Shah. And, I'm, willing to admit that you share a great camaraderie with the Union Home Minister. And when you asked him this question, I remember him telling you very categorically, यदि एक नारायण राणे, यदि एक शुवेंदु अधिकारी, यदि एक हेमंत बिस्वा शर्मा ये बीजेपी में आना चाहते हैं या शामिल हो गए हैं, that does not mean that the BJP has compromised on its ideology. On the contrary, what it means is that a Narayan Rane, a Suvendu Adhikari, a Himanta Biswa Sarma, a Hardik Patel, Ashok, Chavan, or for that matter an Alpesh Thakur, a Rana Goswami, a Madhu Koda, a Jaivir Shergill, a Gaurav Vallabh, a Rohan Gupta, these people are A, disillusioned with the Congress or the other side, B, they feel that BJP fulfills their agenda of aspirational politics, and C, they feel that they will get an ecosystem which is congenial in terms of personal growth, which everybody desires, whether it is in media or in politics. While we are there to serve, we also have personal aspirations which we want should be fulfilled so that we can move on to the next level, which is famously showcased in Maslow's needs hierarchy theory. तो बीजेपी अपनी आइडियोलॉजी पर बिना कॉम्प्रोमाइज किए यदि लोग बीजेपी में शामिल होते हैं तो बीजेपी का दरवाजा खुला है. But within 20 seconds I will also say this, which I have said to your colleague Rajdeep, because this is what was debated yesterday and last week also. When Chhagan Bhujbal joins the BJP, have we removed all cases against him? No. Have we suspended all cases against Ajit Pawar? No. Have we suspended all cases against Janardhan Reddy? No. Have we suspended all cases against...
But Ajit Pawar hasn't been called in for questioning. Ma'am, Ajit Pawar hasn't been called in for questioning. Praful Patel got a closure. No, but you can't. No. The fact is, I think, ma'am... It's not about me having a bad... Please do not lecture me. Sanju Verma, do not lecture me. The fact of the matter is that because it was announced that Ajit Pawar conducted a 70,000 crore rupee scam. A couple of days later, he joined hands with your party. After that, he hasn't been called in for questioning even once. If he hadn't joined in an alliance with your party, whether that would still be the case is a whole different matter. No, but you must.
Why don't you allow me to
How
answer?
is it that Praful Patel's got a closure report if he conducted this big scam? Yes, you must.
Thank you. And Rahul, I have been very polite with you. I expect to be treated, in a fair manner. I did not lecture you. I think I've been very polite. I've been very nice. What do you mean by saying Sanju Verma don't lecture me?
Ma'am, because you're just filibustering your way. The fact is that many of these leaders, once they've joined the alliance with the NDA, they haven't been called in for questioning. It's open, it's clean, as clear as day. It's as clear as day.
I'm answering your question, but Rahul,
Yes.
now let me return the favor. I don't need lectures from anyone. Certainly not from the media, which has been mollycoddling the opposition. But I will not tell you, Rahul Kanwal, don't lecture me. You're free to do so. आपका शो है, जो आपको करना है, आपकी मर्जी है. But I will say this, Rahul. How funny and how audacious of people within the Latvian media zone and these Latvianized YouTubers. जब अजीत पवार उस तरफ थे, आपने तो कभी अजीत पवार से सवाल नहीं किया.
Okay, I don't know what you're talking about because the number of exposes we've done, ma'am, one second, just one second. The irrigation scam came to light when India Today Group did detailed investigations on the scam. That's how the scam came to light. That is a matter of contemporary record.
Why are you heckling me?
I'm not heckling you because you're just making up facts. I am not heckling you, Sanju Verma. You're making up facts, which is why I'm stopping you to correct you to say that while Ajit Pawar was not in alliance with you, we repeatedly brought out the fact that Ajit Pawar has a massive scam and he is responsible. Now that he's in alliance with you, you not being able to say the same thing, I am still saying the same thing. Do you still think of him as a scamster? Do you still think he pulled off a 70,000 crore rupees scam? Sanju Verma, respond to this question. Did Ajit Pawar pull off a 70,000 crore rupees scam in Maharashtra? Yes or no? Answer my question, Sanju Verma.
I am answering, please, Rahul.
Ma'am, answer my question.
Gun to my head.
No, please, is Ajit Pawar responsible for pulling off a 70,000 crore rupees scam or not? Answer my question.
I am answering, but keep quiet now. I will answer I will take 30 seconds. And now please listen without heckling. You can then rebut me as much as you want. Has the case against Ajit Pawar been...
When was he called in for questioning last? What is this? When was he called in for questioning last? When was he called in for questioning last? When was he called? Since the time his party announced an alliance with the BJP, when has he been called in for questioning? Ma'am, since the time his party announced an alliance with the BJP, when was he called in for questioning? Ma'am, when was he called in for questioning? Anyway, listen. Sanju Verma, I think the voters of this country are way too smart. I know you're trying to do verbal gymnastics. I leave it to those who are watching to decide. Those who are watching. Ma'am, the fact of the matter, I know you're in power. I know your party is very powerful. I know that there is that confidence which you have when you're in power. But let me just tell you this. The fact of the matter is that the voters of this country can see this through very, very clearly. When someone is in opposition... Man, there is no hypocrisy. We are the ones who exposed the irrigation scam in Maharashtra. You can get as angry as you want. It doesn't change the facts. We are the ones who exposed the irrigation scam in Maharashtra. Okay, I think I just want to move on because this is not serving any... Sanju Verma, I think the voters see this very clearly. You're just trying to argue a very bad case and you know that that's a very bad case, and I think most people realize this as well. The problem here, Rahul Verma, is that despite these things being clear, so you're seeing over here that 46% of the respondents, all kinds of people, very clearly say that they are protecting themselves from ED and CBI. But yet it doesn't impact voting behavior. Now that's the point. Sanju Verma and others like her can, case nahi band kiya, humne case nahi band kiya. He hasn't called in for questioning. On the one side, you're calling them and questioning, sending them 8 summons, 10 summons. Now, because they're in power and they're running the investigating agencies, and they can also say, but when the Congress was in power, they did the same thing. But the fact is that none of this is getting people to change their voting behavior. Now, that's the nub, which is where Sanju Verma's confidence comes from.
So, but I hope people who are in power realize that there is going to be a tipping point at some day, right? When you are in power, when you are winning big, then some of these things don't affect the outcome, especially when the gap between party number 1 and party number 2 is high. Think of this. In 1960s and 70s, India used to grow at 2.5%. Poverty was rampant. Yet Congress used to come back to power every time because the opposition was weak. Same thing is happening today. Opposition is really weak, but voters are able to see through everything. They are able to see who is joining BJP and what is the advantage they are getting. They are able to see that corruption is increasing. They are able to highlight that there is economic anxiety. And there is going to be a tipping point when all of this combined together and opposition basically mobilizes on some of these issues. Not in 2024, maybe in 27 or 29, some of these issues will flip against BJP. We don't know. It might happen in 2024
your response as an academic... is predicated on the belief that the opposition will do something useful to be able to galvanize and mobilize Salman shows, the reality is that there is nothing that we've seen from the opposition to give anybody watching at this time any belief. Sanju Verma can say whatever, she's arguing a weak case, she knows she's arguing a weak case, she can keep arguing a weak case, but no कि भाई वोट तो मुझे को पढ़ना है, आप जो मर्जी बोल लो, वोट तो मुझे को पढ़ना है, मैं ले लूंगा नेता, वो मुझे जिता देगा, वोट तो मेरी पार्टी को ही पढ़ना, आप जो मर्जी बोल दो. So Salman, so
Rahul, let me just say that everybody says opposition ki voice nahi hai. And by the way, we don't hear the opposition. Rahul, you've gone to Sanju Verma 5 times today. This is my 2nd time. You've been to other panelists multiple times. If you want to listen to me, listen to me. I want to go back to the nepotism question because that was the question at that time and you did not give an opportunity to respond.
You must. I seem to be doing a very bad job of moderating the show. Both the BJP and the opposition as unhappy with me. I am really failing today. Both equally unhappy, which is fine. I like that. Go on, Salman. Make your point. Make your point. Go on.
First of all, I would say that Sanju Verma should not be insulting our President Kharge, who's given his life to his country. His life. Maybe Sanju Verma finds it very hard and difficult to, or maybe she finds it easy to insult a Dalit leader. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know what it is, but looking down upon our leader is shameful. She's a junior member of the BJP. She should understand what respect in politics means. So I condemn it. She called our president a puppet. I condemn it, and the BJP should take note. That is one. Second, on nepotism, where do we start? We keep talking about the Congress party nepotism. Why BJP ka nepotism? Should we start with it? Let me ask you, Rahul. Let me ask the people watching the show. What were the qualifications of Jay Shah to take on the BCCI? What were his qualifications? I want to know. I really want to know. How was he qualified? Was he eminently qualified? Let me ask you, Anurag Thakur, he's a minister. He was a chief minister's son, former chief minister's son. In Madhya Pradesh, Akash Vijay Vargiya, whose son is he? Where is, by the way, Rajnath Singh's son? Who is he? Are these people? So that is not nepotism. Whatever is happening in the Congress is nepotism. What about Krishna Gaur, the Govindpura MLA? Who's Deepak Joshi? ex-CM Kailash Joshi's son?
Okay, I mean, let Sanju Verma respond to this.
No.
Congress ka nepotism, BJP ka nepotism, meritocracy. Okay.
No, let me finish. Sanju Verma can keep responding. Let me finish. She spoke so much. Let me give me a few minutes.
No, Salman, you made that point. Let her respond. Only then are we having a debate.
What will she respond? You asked her a question. She had her say. Why should she respond again?
I need my rebuttal. He's made allegations that he...
Okay, Sanju Verma, very quickly. Sanju Verma, very quickly.
Thank you. First and foremost, let me tell Salman Soos, I would rather be a junior member of the BJP where I have a say in what I wish to say than being a puppet like Mallikarjun Kharge in a party which is demolished for all practical purposes. So Sanju Verma ko junior bol ke yadi aapke man ko shanti milti hai, so be it. Now let me answer the nepotism charge. Who is Rajiv Shukla? Who is Sharad Pawar? Who is Vaibhav Gehlot? Kya Vaibhav Gehlot bahut बढ़िया बल्लेबाज या गेंदबाज हैं? क्या राजीव शुक्ला बहुत बड़े बल्लेबाज या गेंदबाज हैं? Is Sharad Pawar a great batsman or a great spin bowler? No. Sharad Pawar for the longest time was the BCCI chairperson, the ICC chairperson. Vaibhav Gehlot, Ashok Gehlot's son, was heading Rajasthan Cricket Board. Rajiv Shukla continues to be the big daddy of IPL, and N. Srinivasan, the owner of India Cements, who is the uncle of Murasoli Maran and Dayanadi Maran, was the head of the ICC. So Rajiv Shukla ban sakte hain IPL ke chairperson, Sharad Pawar ban sakte hain BCCI ke chairperson, Vaibhav Gehlot ban sakte hain Rajasthan Cricket Board ke big daddy, N. Srinivasan Murasoli Maran ke uncle ban sakte hain ICC ke big daddy, but Jay Shah, Amit Shah ke bete, BCCI में कोई post
Okay, Salman Soos is a quick counter to that. Salman, quickly, I need to move on. Okay, Salman, very quickly.
Sanju Verma made my point. She basically made my point. Basically, she is saying You guys have these many people. So what's wrong with if we have people? Basically, she's saying Congress again nepotism. If there is nepotism,
You condemn
BJP has nepotism. What's the problem? So I rest my case. I rest my case. People.
Okay, now Sanjay Kumar, on the question of nepotism, what do you make of the fact that 24% are now saying that BJP and Congress are kind of the same on nepotism? Only 25% say BJP is less nepotistic and Congress is more. But otherwise, the response seems to think, yeah, dono ek hi thali ke hain. And when on the question of nepotism, Sanjay Kumar, that from a BJP lens is a very infuriating response.
No, Rahul, the data shows it very, very clearly that on the issue of nepotism, people believe that now with the kind of people, you know, like being given ticket in BJP, somebody's son, somebody's daughter, etc., people don't feel much of a difference between Congress and BJP when it comes to the issue of nepotism. Yes, we still, in terms of perception, if you talk about the larger perception, there's still some people still believe that if you talk about the top position of the party, this is not reserved in the BJP, and that's the counter narrative which BJP wants to develop. But given the kind of tickets which has been given to the people over the last few years, when it comes to assembly election or the Lok Sabha election, this is the perception which BJP is getting among the common citizens, that there is hardly any difference, and this is very, very clear out from the data.
Okay, I want to come to the last two questions on the show. You know, what do people think of the caste census, and why is the Congress taking up this issue in the way that it is? It's being taken up as a political tool is the response of 32% of the respondents. Congress is serious about caste census is the response of 24% of the respondents, and no opinion is the response of 28% of the respondents. So across different kinds of communities, the large number of people seem to think that this is largely a political tool, and that only 1 in 4 seem to think that the Congress is serious about a caste census. You know, what comes through very clearly, Rahul Verma, is the level of sophistication of the response of the Indian masses. You know, the Aam Aadmi, the Indian voter, he doesn't need to go to some fancy university in India or abroad to see through what the netas are doing. The netas think they're too clever, they can spin it one way or the other, bolo googly, bola dusra, but the voter is seeing through all of them.
That is absolutely true, Rahul. And this is what we have learned about Indian politics over the years. This is a reason why in India, incumbency is a disadvantage. This is a reason for most of the time incumbent legislators lose elections. It's a coin toss. It's a 50-50 chance that even if you get the ticket, you are more likely to lose an election than win an election. Because people can see through what you are doing. They know that most politicians engage in all kinds of illegal activities and also make money, but they expect that some of these politicians are going to also work for their welfare. If you do work, you get rewarded. If you don't do work, you also get punished. And so any party that thinks that they can keep sort of I don't want to use the word fooling, but if you think that you can keep voters in dark for a very, very long period of time, it never happened for the Congress and it won't happen for the
Salman,
BJP.
so voters are seeing through this promise that the Congress is making. Only 24% think you are serious. 32% seem to believe that the Congress is using the caste census only as a political tool.
But by the way, Rahul, there's nothing wrong with this as a political tool, because politics is a way to advance rights of people. There is nothing, I don't see it as, I think that's what politics is for. You want politics so that you can take those marginalized communities, those who are not getting their fair share, and advance their cause. That's what we're in politics for. What are we in politics for? So if people may think, oh, this is the political tool, although, by the way, the difference between 32% and 24% is not that significant. There are many who have no opinion yet. But ultimately, whether we like it or not, Rahul, in our country, we need a census. By the way, this is the only G20 country which does not have a census, right? So we haven't had a census since 2011. We're flying blind. That's overall census. And within that, we do a socioeconomic census, which we used to do.
Okay.
Without which, how can you tell whether people are doing well or not?
Final words, Sanju Verma.
perfectly okay.
Salman So saying it's perfectly okay if people think it's a political tool. That's what politics is about. It's a tool to empower people, and that's what we're doing. Final words,
Okay.
Sanju Verma.
Thank you, Rahul. And I have no problems, Rahul. You can continue to ask me tough questions. I'm not in the least bit ruffled. That was a great debate that you conducted, though we were today very belligerent with each other. Now I'll just very quickly say this. The Congress spent 4,986 crores and conducted a caste census in 2011. My simple question to Rahul Gandhi is, who keeps saying कि मैं नफरत के बाजार में मोहब्बत की दुकान खोलने आया हूँ. भाई साहब, you were in power till May 2014. You spent almost 5,000 crores. Why did you not make the findings of the caste census public? Not only that, the Congress was in power in the state of Karnataka between 2013 and 2018 for a good 5 years. आपने लगभग 476 crores you spent in carrying out a state-wise caste census in Karnataka. Why did Siddaramaiah not make it public? मतलब आप taxpayer का पैसा खर्च करके caste census करवाते हो and you don't even have the guts, the audacity to make the findings public. That is my point number one. And very quickly, my point number two. This entire caste census narrative was basically built by Rahul Gandhi to showcase that BJP is anti-OBCs. So Mr. Rahul Gandhi and company, if you are watching Rahul Kaval's show, 37% of Narendra Modi's cabinet consists of OBCs.
Okay.
41% of our MLAs are OBCs,
Okay.
and 43% of our MLCs are also OBCs. इसलिए शांत हो जाइए, आएगा तो मोदी ही 2024 में.
Okay, I'm out of time. We'll continue this debate. The good thing is it's a very long, extended election season till the 4th of June. So we can be slicing and dicing data till the 4th of June in different ways. For the time being, Sanju Verma, Salman Soz, Rahul Verma. Thank you very much for joining us on the Newstrack.